Think about the dashboard you open, like first thing with your morning coffee.
Yeah, the one you stare at every single day.
Right. Seriously, picture that interface you look at to get a read on your business. Are you adapting your workflow to figure out what that data means? Or
Or is that data actively adapting to you?
exactly. Welcome to Data Design with Mockup. This is Deep Dive number 25, and today we are tearing into a massive shift. I mean, a fundamental change in how organizations operate. We're talking about data dashboard trends and the 2026 vision for analytics.
And honestly, the stakes here are so much higher than just, upgrading to a prettier user
Oh,
interface.
totally.
If you look at the source material we're covering in this deep dive, we are tracking a migration away from passive reporting tools. We're moving toward active decision support systems.
Yeah,
Because, for the longest time, a dashboard was basically just a digital bulletin board.
right. Just a static grid of bar charts,
Exactly.
pie charts, that essentially just said, here is a pile of numbers representing what happened last month. Good luck.
Yeah. Good luck figuring out what to do next, which is a completely reactive posture to take. Businesses literally can no longer afford to just look at historical records.
No, they can't.
They're adopting real-time predictive tools that are powered by underlying AI to monitor performance continuously.
Because the gap between an event happening in the market and a company actually making a decision about that event, that gap is shrinking to near zero.
It has to. If your dashboard isn't surfacing actionable intelligence instantly, you're losing ground to competitors whose systems actually are.
And okay, the statistic that completely jumped out at me from the research, this is crazy, is that around 40% of enterprise dashboards are already integrated with AI features.
Specifically for predictive insights, yeah.
Right, 40%. That means we are way, way past the early adopter phase. This is rapidly becoming just the baseline standard.
It is. And to understand the magnitude of that shift, we have to look at the mechanics of what those predictive features are actually doing.
Okay, lay it out for us.
So historically, an analyst would pull a data set, run a regression analysis manually.
Plus the manual data polls.
Right. And they try to build a forecast model to present at, like, a Friday meeting. Now, the dashboard's underlying engine is running those machine learning models in a continuous loop.
So it's always on.
Always. It is constantly analyzing historical variance, identifying seasonality, and forecasting future performance. And it does this without human prompting.
It's basically the difference between looking in a rearview mirror and looking at a GPS navigation app.
That is a great way to put it.
Like the old dashboard showed you the pothole you just ran over.
Yeah, after your tire is already flat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the 2026 dashboard is actively warning you that there's a traffic jam, 2 miles ahead, and it's calculating an alternate route before you even hit the brakes.
And the mechanism powering that GPS analogy is automated anomaly detection. The system establishes a baseline for normal behavior. Say, your average hourly website traffic on a Tuesday. It calculates the standard deviation. And the exact moment traffic spikes or drops outside of, say, a 95% confidence interval, the system flags it.
So you don't have to sit there manually monitoring the grid.
Right. The system practices insight prioritization. It pushes that specific anomaly right to the top of your screen.
Okay, I understand the mathematical utility of that, but I have to ask, doesn't this introduce a massive risk of complacency?
How do you mean?
Well, if the AI is surfacing the trends and the AI is recommending the actions, teams might just start blindly trusting the dashboard. What happens when the underlying data is flawed or the algorithm hallucinates a pattern and the dashboard effectively tells you to drive your car into a lake?
Yeah, you are hitting on a very real friction point in adoption right now. But the safeguard here is understanding that predictive dashboards are not designed to replace critical human analysis.
Okay.
They are designed to eliminate the manual data mining phase.
Ah, I see. Meaning they do the digging, you do the thinking?
Correct. Exactly that. Let's say sales drop in a specific region. In a traditional setup, you might spend 3 hours downloading CSV files, running pivot tables.
Cross-referencing variables.
Right, just to isolate where the drop even occurred. But the predictive dashboard highlights the exact region and product line instantly. It minimizes the time to insight.
So you still have to apply your business acumen to decide why it's happening and how to respond.
Yes, but your energy is spent on strategy, not on functioning as a human calculator.
Which means the people using these dashboards need to be strategists, not
Yeah.
necessarily data scientists writing complex SQL queries.
Exactly.
But, I mean, if the engine doing this math is so highly complex, the interface to build and manipulate these dashboards must be super intimidating, right?
You would think so.
Yet the sources point to a trend that completely bypasses that complexity, which is conversational analytics.
Oh, it is the ultimate democratizer for data design. The barrier to entry for interacting with complex databases is essentially disappearing.
Because users are moving away from those manual filters, the endless nested dropdowns.
The complex parameter menus.
Yeah, the research really emphasizes natural language queries. I think the best way to visualize this mechanism is to think of conversational analytics like a translator at the United Nations.
Okay, I like that.
Right. Because you, the user, speak business.
I know.
The database speaks SQL or Python.
Yeah.
In the past, you had to learn the database's language. Now, the AI sits in the middle. You type, show me the revenue drop in the European market for Q3. The AI parses your intent, writes the complex query, pulls the data, and renders the visual instantly.
And the parsing of intent is the critical technological leap there. Large language models, or LLMs, they don't just match keywords anymore. They understand the semantic context of your question.
Yeah.
If you ask for revenue, it knows to pull from the financial tables, apply the correct currency conversions, and map it against the timeframes you mentioned.
And this capability is fundamentally changing dashboard wireframing itself. I mean, the sources specifically highlight tools like mockup.ai and their Create with AI feature. You aren't just using natural language to query existing data.
No, you're doing much more.
You are using it to generate complete dashboard wireframes from scratch just by typing a prompt.
Which is huge because the blank screen problem has historically been a massive bottleneck in business intelligence.
Totally.
A project manager knows what metrics they need to track, but they don't know the first thing about UI/UX design or how to structure a visual hierarchy.
Staring at a blank canvas is terrifying if you aren't a designer.
Exactly.
But the mechanism here with mockup is just fascinating. You just describe your goal. You type, like, I need a layout that tracks customer churn rates alongside monthly marketing spend designed for a CMO.
Yeah.
The LLM processes that natural language prompt, maps it to a JSON schema of user interface components, and instantly generates a visual wireframe. You don't drag and drop a single box.
And by lowering that learning curve, you expand data adoption across every department. The human resources director, the supply chain manager, the head of marketing.
People with deep domain expertise but maybe limited technical design skills.
Exactly. They can now rapidly prototype operational views tailored to their specific needs. They aren't submitting a ticket to the IT department and waiting 3 weeks for a mock-up that might not even capture what they actually wanted.
So the bottleneck just vanishes. The end user is completely empowered to build their own lens into the data.
Right.
But, okay, wait, that introduces a completely different problem.
What's that?
Let's say I type my prompt
Yeah.
and the AI generates a wireframe. How does the system know the best way to lay that information out visually? Because I might say, hey, I want to see my sales growth over time as a pie chart.
Oh, boy.
And any data analyst will tell you that a pie chart for time series data is an absolute crime against humanity.
It is a crime. But this is exactly where smart automation intersects with designing for context. The AI powering these wireframing tools isn't just randomly placing shapes on a grid. It actually has data visualization best practices intrinsically encoded into its logic.
Wait, really? So it actively prevents you from making bad design choices.
It acts as a guardrail, yes. The AI understands the cognitive load theory behind visual processing.
Interesting.
It knows that the human eye struggles to accurately compare the angles and areas of a pie chart, but it can instantly process the varying lengths of bars in a bar chart or the slope of a line graph.
Right, it's just how our brains are wired.
Exactly. So when you ask it to track sales over time, it automatically selects a line chart because that is the most cognitively efficient way to display temporal changes. It proposes layouts and arranges metrics based on the specific context of the data itself.
So it's acting as a built-in data visualization consultant.
Yes, exactly.
But the personalization goes even deeper than just chart selection, right?
Yeah.
The trends for 2026 point heavily toward role-based views, dynamic content that adjusts based on who is logged in.
Yes, and personalization is paramount because the fastest way to render a dashboard useless is information overload.
I do have to challenge the logic of hyper-personalization, though.
Okay, let's hear it.
If a dashboard is highly customized, meaning, say, the chief marketing officer logs in and sees a completely different layout instead of metrics than the chief financial officer, don't we lose the concept of a single source of truth across the company?
That's a fair question.
Like, if everyone is looking at a bespoke, isolated reality, how do they even have a meeting where they agree on the state of the business?
It is a very common hesitation when organizations deploy role-based systems, but it stems from confusing the presentation layer with the data layer.
Oh, okay.
The single source of truth is the underlying database. The data itself remains absolute and identical. The dashboard is merely the lens.
Ah, I see. The reality is the same, but the filter changes based on what you actually need to do your job.
Precisely. The CFO needs to monitor cash flow, EBITDA, and operational margins. The CMO needs to monitor customer acquisition costs, click-through rates, and campaign conversions. If you force both executives to look at a monolithic dashboard containing all 60 of those metrics, you create massive cognitive friction.
It might be overwhelmed.
Neither can quickly find the signal in the noise. The smart design filters out the irrelevancy. It ensures each role sees focused key performance indicators aligned with their departmental goals.
It respects your time by not making you hunt for the metrics you actually get paid to influence.
And it dynamically adjusts.
Really? How so?
Well, if the system notices that the CMO checks the daily active user count every single morning at 8:00 a.m., the AI might automatically promote that specific KPI card to the top left corner of their layout.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, optimizing the visual hierarchy based on actual user behavior.
Okay, so we have these incredibly smart, personalized, AI-generated wireframes that prioritize the exact insights we need. But all of that sophisticated interface design is completely useless if the data feeding it is stale. I mean, a beautiful dashboard showing me what happened yesterday doesn't help me make a decision today.
Absolutely. Which brings us to the infrastructure requirement, the need for speed. The transition happening right now is the death of the periodic data refresh.
The end of the nightly batch update.
Yes. Batch processing made sense when computing power was incredibly expensive.
Sure.
You would let the business run all day, accumulate a massive bucket of data, and then process it at midnight when server demand was low.
Right.
The problem is you spend the entire next day looking at a ghost. You are analyzing the state of the business as it existed 24 hours ago.
Which is terrifying in today's market. And the sources highlight a massive pivot to streaming data pipelines. Can you break down how that mechanism actually differs from a batch process?
Yeah, so instead of a midnight dump, think of streaming data pipelines as a continuous IV drip of micro-events. Technologies like Apache Kafka or event-driven architectures capture data the millisecond it is generated. When a customer clicks checkout on your website, that single event is immediately streamed through the pipeline, processed, and reflected on the dashboard in real time.
So if an e-commerce site deploys a buggy update at 2.0 p.m. that breaks the checkout button, the team sees the conversion rate plummet at 2.01 p.m.
Exactly.
They don't find out on Wednesday morning after losing hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales.
The continuous monitoring allows for instant issue detection. And going back to our earlier discussion about predictive AI,
Right, the models.
those machine learning models absolutely require real-time fuel. An algorithm cannot accurately predict the immediate future or detect a sudden operational anomaly if the data it is analyzing is already a day old.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Real-time streaming is the foundational prerequisite for proactive analytics.
And the final piece of this puzzle, according to our deep dive research, is accessibility. It's not just about getting the data fast. It's about getting it wherever you are.
Yeah.
The 2026 vision places a massive emphasis on a mobile-first approach. Now, I understand that remote and hybrid teams mean people aren't chained to their desks.
Sure.
But standard responsive web design has been around for over a decade. Websites have known how to shrink to fit a phone screen for years. Why is mobile first being highlighted as a uniquely difficult and critical challenge for dashboards specifically?
Because translating dense data visualizations to a small screen is fundamentally different than making a blog post responsive.
Okay, how so?
Well, when you read an article on your phone, the text simply wraps to the next line. It flows naturally. A dashboard, however, relies on spatial relationships to convey meaning.
Right, like if I have a complex scatter plot, the distance between two dots actually means something. I can't just squish the dots closer together without ruining the data.
Exactly. Or take a dual-axis line chart, where you have two different y-axes measuring different units, or a geographic heat map covered in tooltips.
Oh, that sounds like a nightmare on a phone.
It is. If you just shrink that down to a 6-inch smartphone screen, it becomes completely illegible. You lose the labels, the tooltips become impossible to tap with a human finger, and the user is forced to physically pinch, zoom, and scroll endlessly just to find a single data point.
Yeah, that friction is why nobody looks at complex dashboards on their phones. It's just too frustrating.
Exactly.
So how does the 2026 trend solve the density problem without just deleting the data?
Through contextual awareness applied at the device level,
Okay.
the AI doesn't just shrink the chart, it dynamically changes the component itself based on the screen real estate available.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you view a dense 50-row matrix table on a desktop monitor, you get the full view. But if you open that exact same dashboard on a smartphone, the system recognizes the device and converts that matrix into a series of top-level KPI cards with simple green or red trend indicators.
Wow. So it fundamentally alters the presentation format.
Yes.
It realizes, hey, they are looking at this on a phone while running through an airport. They do not need the granular scatter plot right now. They just need the summary insight.
It ensures that the experience adapts to the user's immediate context. You maintain touch-friendly interactions and simplified visual designs, guaranteeing you can still monitor the pulse of the business without the frustration of fighting the interface.
That is so smart. We have covered incredible ground today. Let's synthesize this for everyone listening.
Good idea.
If we pull all these disparate trends together, the AI engines, the natural language wireframing, the personalized views, the streaming data, and the device-aware mobile design, what is the overarching mandate for organizations trying to prepare for 2026?
The mandate is that technology, design, and user needs must be treated as a single, interdependent ecosystem. You cannot isolate them.
It's like a three-legged stool.
Exactly. If a company spends millions building a real-time streaming data pipeline with advanced predictive models, but they pipe that data into a cluttered, confusing, poorly wireframed dashboard,
Adoption will flatline.
yes, the business user simply won't use it.
And the inverse is equally true. You can use an AI tool to generate a stunning, perfectly personalized mobile responsive layout. But if it's powered by stale, batch-processed data,
It's just a beautiful picture of the past.
right, it won't help anyone make a decision today.
You must invest in the scalable infrastructure to feed the engine, the AI capabilities to process the insights, and the intuitive design to communicate those insights effortlessly.
Yeah.
And crucially, these dashboards can no longer be separate destinations that users have to remember to log into. They must be embedded seamlessly into everyday operational workflows.
Absolutely. I want you, the listener, to run an audit in your head right now. Think about the screens you stare at every day. Are they proactively guiding your strategy? Are they minimizing the time you spend analyzing data? Or are they just dumping historical information on your desk and leaving you to connect the dots?
Because if it's the latter, your systems are already falling behind.
They really are. The transition from passive reporting to active decision support is not on the horizon. It is actively happening.
Happening right now.
But before we wrap up this deep dive, we always like to leave you with something provocative to ponder. An idea that builds on everything we've unpacked today, but stretches it to its logical extreme.
Yeah, consider the trajectory we just mapped out. We are looking at systems that parse natural language, automatically generate the most effective layouts, monitor streaming data in real time, and proactively push anomaly alerts based on your specific role.
The technology is doing all the heavy lifting of observation and translation.
So the thought experiment is this. If the underlying AI becomes perfectly adept at monitoring the metrics, understanding context, and prioritizing insights, will the traditional visual dashboard screen as we know it eventually disappear entirely?
Wait, like an invisible interface.
Exactly. I mean, why maintain a visual grid of charts at all? Perhaps the dashboard of the future is simply a silent AI assistant running in the background. You never even look at a graph, it just taps you on the shoulder via an audio prompt in your earpiece or a single, highly specific text notification only when a critical metric actually requires your human judgment.
That is wild.
If the machine is doing all the watching, do we even need the glass screen anymore?
The ultimate dashboard design might just be no dashboard at all. I want you all grappling with that the next time you pull up a complex scatter plot. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the source material. Keep interrogating your tools, demand more from your data pipelines, and we will see you on the next one.